Well, the new God of War came out, and after you beat that game, you decided to go on YouTube and watch this video because you realized, wait, a new Sonic game came out? Yes, the long-awaited Sonic Frontier was released, and I was probably the only person that waited until midnight to play it for 9 hours. I had to work after that. If that doesn't tell you, let me spell it out for you. I am indeed a Sonic fan. I have played almost every one of his games, seen all the cartoons, animes, movies, porn, or as most call them, the comics. It's no secret the past couple years, Sonic games have been shit, to put it plainly, disregarding re-releases and spin-offs. And Sonic Mania, that's basically a fan game, doesn't count. With all those in the back of my mind, I was very skeptical of Sonic Frontier with the promise of an open world and combat in the Sonic game. But after beating it, I can confidently say this is a good game. It is very well made and is a fun time. The one thing holding it back is, well, it's a Sonic game, so most people have already decided if it's good or bad before playing it. So I don't really care about the story of Sonic games. I've never played Sonic for the plot. The premise of this game is so simple, I'm just going to read the Wikipedia entry because it sums it up perfectly. As Sonic the Hedgehog, the player explores the mysterious Starfall Islands to collect the Chaos Emeralds after Sonic and his friends are separated when falling through a wormhole. Yeah, that's very accurate. If you've seen my video where I play 50 Sonic games in a row, you'd know I love Sonic when he's sprite, cartoony, and cheesy as fuck. Sonic Frontier has some of that, but also tries to be way too serious and melodramatic for me.
I'm not sure what happened, but I know what I saw. A love that transcended time. I believe in that power. When this is over, I want to share that love with the world. Even though it may take us far apart.
Oh my god, what?
Also, hope you brushed up on your Sonic lore, because this game makes constant references to past Sonic games. And I'm not just talking about the stages that use places from past games, we'll get to that. If you're unfamiliar, Sonic usually only acknowledges its continuity for like anniversary stuff, because if it treated every game like it's canon, well, that's a timeline that would make Link blush. Now, I know absolutely nothing about the development or ideas for this game. I always go into games as blind as possible since I care about the end product rather than the story behind it. If the game is good, I'll look that shit up later. So this is just me assuming that these references and the stages are probably because this game was supposed to come out last year in 2021 for Sonic's 30th anniversary, but got pushed back because, well, the world was on fire. Who am I kidding, it still is. So it makes more sense thinking like that, but it's still weird hearing random name drops like Decal or Neo Metal just out of nowhere for no reason. They even reference Styx, so Sonic Boom is also canon now? I'm not even going to try to comprehend this. I mean, these references don't go anything beyond name drops. I seriously don't expect Sonic in the future to suddenly start incorporating all the past stories and characters in a game. Overall, though, I think it's a pretty standard Sonic story. And no, I was not sad about the digital chibi girl, I don't even remember her name. So I played this game on a PS5 I stole from my friend who was stupid enough to leave me alone in a room with it, and the game looks really good. Definitely the best looking Sonic game ever. The problem is I have to choose either to have a great looking game that runs at 30 FPS or a game that runs amazing but looks like it's on PS3. I don't understand if this was the PS4 or even the Switch. Why does PS5, next gen, still have to choose between the two instead of having both? I'm also currently playing through the new Star Ocean game right now and it has the same thing. So it's not just Sonic, like what is this? If anyone played this on PC, let me know if it runs amazing. I can't check because my PC can barely render and export these videos, but I'm gonna assume if you want this game at its best, buy for PC. I really enjoy the music in this game. The overall music when exploring is very mellow and atmospheric, which are words I thought I'd never say for a Sonic game, but I really dig it. The beats are really nice and fit each locale well. I'd say the only thing that falls flat is the combat music. It's okay, but I don't really remember a lot of it. For the stages, they thankfully took the only good thing from Sonic Forces, which was the music being this techno-pop type of sound, which I personally think fits Sonic a little bit more than The Rock ever did. I mean, The Rock still goes in, like in the boss fights, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's talk about the actual game. So control-wise, I think Sonic is weird to get used to at first. Something about combining the physics engine mixed with the patented boost mechanic makes Sonic hard to control. You really need to get used to it because he feels a little different than past games. I did play on this high-speed style. The game offers different styles. I'm not exactly sure what they affect. Some tell me it's Sonic's overall movement speed, so maybe that affected how I played him. You can adjust Sonic in the menu, like his top speed, acceleration, surprisingly thorough. I hope they keep doing this in other games. After messing with those options, a couple tutorials and levels later, you do get used to it, and that's when it hits you. This game is really fun. I wish I used a face cam so you can see the big shit-eating grin on my face running around in an open world as Sonic for the first time in an official game. Doing platforming challenges and playing the stages, it was the most fun I've had with a 3D Sonic game since Generations. And then I made it to the second island and realized, oh, that's the whole game? Yeah, I hope you really enjoy your time on that first island because that will be the next 15 or so hours of your life. So Frontiers isn't really open world, it's one of those games that instead of having one huge map, it's a bunch of mini sandboxes that exist in their own areas. That's fine, like I said, just running around at the speed of sound is fun on its own. I wasn't expecting a GTA-sized map anyway. Problems come from the stuff you need to do in the open world. Open world games are fun because they give the player freedom. Yeah, you can do the main story, or that cool shit over there. Everything in the Sonic world, though, is ultimately in service of the main story, which makes it come off more like a chore rather than a fun thing found through exploration. Let me explain, there are 3 main collectibles to get throughout the game: gears, keys, and memories. You can get many of these by digging up stuff with this Psyloop ability straight out of Pokemon Ranger, from random enemy drops or from random crates and barrels, but they each have a main method used to collect them. First, let me explain the gears, which give you access to the traditional 3D Sonic stages. The main way to get them is to fight a sort of mini-boss around each of the sandboxes. Really, the smaller they are, the more fun they are, as they actually have you use the combat system, sort of. The bigger they are, the more of a gimmick it is. Like, you either just hold the boost button until you get close to mash attack, or yeah, that's it. Which for the first time you do it is very fun and cool, but after your 5th or 6th time fighting one of these, the novelty wears off. Seriously, go for the smaller ones. They still are gimmicky, but are not only faster, but also have you use actual combat mechanics. Speaking of which, let's talk combat, as this is the first Sonic game to have a combat system. It's the first one. This game may refer to past titles, but I sure won't. The combat is incredibly basic, but I prefer that to them trying to go way too complicated. Essentially, after you do a homing attack, you mash the attack button. Eventually, you get upgrades that allow you to cancel your combo into another stronger attack by pressing a different face button, which is good. The combat isn't just mashing one button constantly, at least they thought of that. Some of these moves you want ASAP too, as they are overpowered as fuck, especially if you have a high attack stat. I deleted enemies in my playthrough once I almost maxed out, even the last boss. Since this is their first time trying this, I give it a pass, but if they do this again, I'm expecting a huge step up, especially with a more expansive skill tree. It is weird that there seems to be some slots that could fit some more skills, maybe for DLC down the road, I don't know. Anyways, after you've combated and got some gears, time to get some keys, which are the collectibles needed to get the Chaos Emeralds to progress the story. The main way to get keys is through the traditional Sonic stages, which are unlocked by using the gears. And honestly, I am not into these levels. A lot of them are just straight lines, they really feel like an afterthought. I barely, if ever, actually platformed in these, similar to Sonic Forces, sadly I have to say. A lot of my time in these were hold the boost to get through, and a lot of them barely last a minute, so I barely leave an impression on me. And yeah, the levels are boring and repetitive design-wise. I'm talking about the aesthetic, not gameplay. You will see 4 types of stages: Green Hill, Chemical Plant Zone, Sky Sanctuary, and a city one that I think is supposed to be Radical Highway and City Escape combined. But I'm not going to excuse having only 4 different skins for levels. And that's all they are, skins. There's nothing else that defines them. Besides doing that Sky Sanctuary thing for like the 7th time, you know, that thing. I started Sonic around the Adventure and Advanced titles, so I have absolutely no nostalgia for the Genesis levels, and I'm sick and fucking tired of seeing them. If I have to play through Chemical Plant Zone or Green Hill one more fucking time, I swear I still probably will buy the game because it's Sonic, but I'll complain about it. I would much rather prefer them take the time to make some new original stages thematic to the open world map, or if you do keep doing this pulling from past games thing, like get weird with the picks, Sega, come on, give us levels from the Rush games or Sonic Schoolhouse. It's kinda weird going from a desert overworld to fucking Green Hill for the 20th time. Bit jarring. Oh right, the keys, that's what I'm supposed to be talking about. Well, at the end of each stage, you can get up to 4 by doing certain criteria. They're the same for every stage: beating the level with a certain number of rings, beating it in a certain amount of time, and collecting all the red rings. Don't worry, completionists, the red rings in this game are very easy to find compared to past games. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, good. Okay, so after you do the levels, you get the keys, which unlock the Chaos Emeralds, which help you progress the story. But then you're told to find the last collectible, the memories. Each of Sonic's friends are trapped in cyberspace, and to help them, you collect their memories scattered throughout the open world map. These are pretty much just used to trigger the next cutscene to continue the story. You get most of these memories by doing mini platform challenges around the world. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Not much else to say. I think these are the most fun parts of the game, and they're the best ones. Some of these can even be mini stages, so the reason to not have the actual stages. My one problem with them is if you're running around and accidentally hit a rail or a speed boost pad that puts you in a 2D plane, you're stuck until you finagle your way out somehow or just complete the challenge. Very annoying when you're just trying to get to your next destination and end up stuck in a platforming section, especially when you already beat. I did find the repetitiveness of it to wear on me around the 3rd island, especially since you have to collect so many of them. Sometimes I realized I could just cheese some of them by going to the end and using the wonky physics to grab it without platforming. I'm not saying that as a negative. What open world game hasn't been broken by players manipulating its physics engine? That means it works. But you're starting to see what I mean. Everything done in the open world ultimately is used for the main quest. Instead of you going off and exploring, being rewarded with some cool bonus shit you don't really need, rewarding the player for their curiosity and exploring, instead you wander around, see a platforming thing, and go, well, I'm here, might as well do it because I'm going to need it later. Like, come on, Sega, you also make an open world game that is all about the stupid side shit. Let Sonic sing karaoke the next game, damn it. There are a few things you can do that aren't mandatory that help you out, like the mini challenges that unlock more of the map. These can be done by doing mostly puzzles, and yeah, these are fine, no complaints from me. Honestly, I prefer any other method for revealing a map besides the same climbing a tower thing every other fucking open world game does. After any one of these mini challenges, you'll get these seeds that upgrade your stats. Yeah, Sonic has stats. The seeds upgrade your attack and defense by giving them to these Elder Coco, the inhabitants of the Starfall Islands. Your other stats are your speed and max ring count, which is kind of like your health. You upgrade these by finding Coco Kids scattered throughout the land, and the only thing that sucks about this is when you upgrade your speed or ring count, you have to do it one by one individually. Why? When you go to upgrade your attack and defense, he does it all at once. Give him all the seeds and he upgrades you several levels. Easy, quick, love it. But here, it's so fucking slow. Why is it like this? Am I missing something? Why can't I do this in bulk? Then, of course, there's the best side activity. For once, Sega weren't cowards and brought him back. The man, the myth, the legend, Big the Cat. This little fishy minigame is completely optional, allowing you to get more upgrades, some of the collectibles I talked about, kind of making all the overworld shit skippable, and optional audio logs. It's a nice addition that helps change the pace, and honestly, one of my favorite bits because, come on. Seriously, go fishing. I went fishing in the second island for like 30 minutes and managed to almost max out my attack and defense by buying upgrade seeds from Big. Praise be unto him. Last thing in this game are the boss battles. In order for Sonic to save his friends, he has to beat the Titans, these huge motherfuckers. To do that, you get all the Chaos Emeralds and become Super Sonic. Yeah, this is not an end of the game thing anymore, you fight every boss as Super Sonic. While that does really ruin how special Super Sonic is, considering you do it 4 times, I can't lie, these fights were awesome. Playing as Super Sonic fighting a giant monster while the hardest metal music ever is blasting in your ear gave me the hugest boner. Seriously, I want to acknowledge how fucking hard this boss music goes. I'm a longtime Sonic fan, so yeah, I'm the biggest Crush 40 simp around, but these new bands that made music for this game fucking kill it. They go weirdly hard for a Sonic game. Like, I love Sonic, but come on, you gotta admit, they go in a little bit too much. Did they even know what game they're making this for? Oh, either way, who cares, because the music makes every boss fight the most hype anime AMV ever. But yeah, that's Sonic Frontier. You do those things 4 different times for about 15 hours. That's the game. Oh, I forgot, sometimes it forces you to play these weird little mini games for Chaos Emeralds. I almost forgot about them because they just happen. You're just like, huh, that happened. Except the pinball game, fuck that shit. Fuck pinball. Fuck Sonic Spinball. Despite its flaws, I did enjoy this game. A lot. Literally right after beating it the first time on normal mode, I started up a second playthrough on hard, just because I love this game so much. It is a step in the right direction for Sonic games, and if Sega seems to be open to taking criticism, which is what inspired them to make this game, then that hopefully means the next Sonic game will be bigger and even better, and I hope they take their time with it. I would recommend it if you're a Sonic fan to pick this up and play it right now. And if you're more of a casual fan, and maybe don't really care about Sonic, I'd say borrow it from a friend, play the first island, and then see how it is from there, because if you don't like it, well, you pretty much played the whole game anyway.
Don't forget to